To begin Sainome Colosseum R, you'll first need to choose a play sheet onto which you'll place your character. There are 4 play sheets that come in the retail edition of the game, and while it's not necessary to use one, we advise that you do, as it's easier to organize your character's loadout using the play sheet's designated spaces. Once you and your opponent have chosen your play sheets, you then move to character selection. For the purposes of this video, we've already chosen our play sheets, as you can see here, as well as our characters. There are 10 characters in the game, each comprising their own unique abilities, so it's good to take your time familiarizing yourself with what each fighter has to offer before choosing which one you would like to take into battle. For this battle, we'll be using the animated armor character, who is a good all-around character, really ideal for folks just learning the game. The opposing character will be the one-eyed bowman, who is a moderate difficulty character. If for some reason you and your opponent wanted to play as the same character, you can simply settle the matter with a roll-off. After you and your opponent each have decided on the character you'll be playing, place them in the center position on the play sheet, normal form side up. That's the side with the gray border. The character's other side, the awakened form side, will be explained in just a bit. Next, shuffle all the Sainome cards. Sainome cards comprise the game's spells, items, weapons, and skills. The Sainome cards that can be attached to your character are sometimes referred to as equipment cards, or just equipment for short. More on that later. Once the Sainome cards have been shuffled, deal 10 cards in any order face down to each player. Place these cards in a stack near your character card. Each card in the stack represents 1 HP or health point for a total of 10 HP per player. When a character takes damage and loses HP, cards equal to the amount of damage are drawn from your HP stack into your hand. A character is eliminated when they no longer have HP remaining. Now that we've dealt with the HP stacks, it's on to our starting hands. Deal 5 Sainome cards to yourself and your opponent, and these 5 cards act as your starting hand. You may choose to discard any number of these cards and redraw up to the amount discarded. However, you may only do this once. Next, it's time to create the common deck. To do this, shuffle all remaining Sainome cards and place them in a single deck face down in the middle of the play area between you and your opponent. The last player to have won a game of Sainome Colosseum is the starting player. However, if this is your first time playing, as well as your opponent's first time playing, or if all players were victorious in their last games of Sainome Colosseum individually, then the starting player is determined by simply rolling a die, with the highest roll becoming the starting player. And it looks like the animated armor will be going first. We're now ready for the match to begin. Starting with the first player, each player takes a turn. The player's turn is divided into 2 distinct phases, the action phase and the discard phase. During the action phase, you may choose to perform up to 2 actions from the following options in whatever order you wish. You can draw cards, you can attach equipment, you can use an instant play card, you can attack an opponent, or you can use a character's skill. Do note, however, that you may not perform the same action twice during a single turn. For example, if you choose to attack your opponent as your first action, you then would not be able to attack your opponent again as your second action. Let's break down each action real quick before deciding which ones we're going to go with here. The animated armor's first action is going to be to attach equipment. Attaching equipment allows you to add any number of equipable Sainome cards from your hand to your character. Generally speaking, you must do this if you plan to eventually use an attack action against your opponent. As you see here, on each side of your character's card, the top, bottom, right, and left, are die icons called attachment symbols that indicate where equipment may be attached. Sainome cards that can be attached to your character must have equipment symbols that match those of your character card. In addition to attaching new equipment to your character using the attach equipment action, you may also replace equipment already attached. If you choose to do this, the previously attached equipment card is simply returned to your hand. In this case, the animated armor has decided to play Claymore. As you can see, there is an attachment symbol to the right of the card, which corresponds with the attachment symbol to the left of the animated armor's card. denoted by the dice with 4 pips showing. Claymore does 3 damage, as denoted by the 3 on the center of the card. However, it has no additional effects. Many equipment cards do have additional effects, so be sure to read your cards carefully when attaching them to your character. As the second action, the animated armor has chosen to attack her opponent. To do this, you must first roll a die to see if you connect with the attack. A 4 was rolled in this case, which means the animated armor will activate the card in the corresponding slot with the 4 pips, matching the die. It's important to know that any player that loses HP from an attack must take cards from their HP stack equal to the amount of damage done, and then add those cards to their hand. If a player's HP stack is reduced to 0 at any point, their character has been defeated and they have lost the game. And that is a brief explanation of how to play Sainome Colosseum R.